Hello, parents and guardians. This is Chris Longo, and I wanted to take a couple of minutes to explain the style of classroom I'm going to be running in Algebra 2 Trig this year. And I call it the student-paced classroom because it's almost exactly how it sounds. Students are going to take control of their own learning by setting the pace of the class for themselves. They're going to get to work in a group or individually if they would like. And the students are going to decide what is best for them. They're going to be able to pick and choose their own quiz days. They're going to be able to pick and choose their own test days. And they're just going to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff where they're pretty much taking responsibility for their actions. Quizzes, they're actually going to be able to take quizzes in groups. And the reason I do that is because it encourages collaboration and how to debate with one another on correct answers and work together to accomplish a task that actually is worth points, not just for fun. Tests have to be taken individually. They will still get to choose which day they want to take the test, but they'll take them individually so I can accurately assess how well they are doing individually so I can accurately place them in pre-calc for next year. Now, there is a little bit of a break-in period. This has not started quite yet. My goal is to have them ready to move on after they finish the first 2 units of the semester. But if I feel they need 1 extra unit of practice, I will make sure that they do that. Now, just so you know, I will be in the room the whole time answering questions. This isn't a thing where they just kind of do whatever they need to do. I will be in the room answering questions, helping students out, giving them guidance, suggestions, and all of that type of stuff. But they're going to learn a whole bunch more in this class than just math. And those would be some of the executive functions. So they're going to learn how to take responsibility for their learning. They're going to learn time management skills. They're going to learn how to be proactive instead of procrastinate. They're going to learn how to self-assess themselves by making sure they are prepared to take a quiz or a test. They're going to learn error analysis. They're going to learn to work collaboratively with others. And they're also going to learn how to work through some distractions. When you have a classroom that has students picking and choosing which day they want to take quizzes and tests, they don't all take quizzes and tests on the same day anymore. You might have a group that's 2 days ahead of schedule decide to take a quiz. So there will be some minor distractions in the room because they've chosen to take a quiz or a test on a certain day, and they have said, many students have said that has been extremely helpful to them because they're so used to a room where everyone takes a test on the same day. If there are minor distractions, they get distracted. But now they say they can just focus on their quiz, test, or whatever they're working on and not be bothered by the minor distractions. Here are some feedback and tips from former students. So for every year that I've done this, I have always given students the opportunity to tell me what they thought of the class. Did they like it better than a regular classroom or better than a flipped classroom? What they like about it, what they didn't like about it, improvements that I can make. And over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, I have been using students' feedback to help change and make my classroom better. But from all the years I've been doing this, 85% of my Algebra 2 Trig students reported that they actually prefer this style of classroom to any other classroom they've experienced. And many of the reasons they say that they like it is because they feel more prepared for college, because they learned how to budget time and not slack off. Now, these quotes are actually taken directly from student surveys that were some of the most popular responses. Many students have reported that at the beginning they did not like the class because they've always been the student or in a classroom where they're told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, when to have it done, how to get an A. But in this class, they are going to have flexibility and they get to learn it. And they say that after they learn how to take advantage of the flexibility, that they love the class. When students are in multiple AP classes or honors classes or in sports, they appreciate being able to take an extra day. It's a very tough day if you have to take 3 AP tests or 3 honors tests or just 3 tests in general on the same day. then you can push one back, or you can, take it a day early. If a student has an away game for sports and gets home at 10 o'clock at night, they don't have to go study for an Algebra 2 test. So there are a lot of benefits to the flexibility, and those are some of the ones the students have said. Tips on how to be successful. Students have said that you need to find a group that you can work with, not get lazy, and do all of your practice problems that they will receive in a goal packet, and other practice problems as well. They say that you should watch the videos at home or in a study hall and then come to class to work on the practice problems. Because students get to choose when they want to work on practice problems and when they want to work on videos and all of that, sometimes students choose to watch the notes in class. But many times students have said it's better for them to use class time for practice, because then they can ask each other questions and they can ask me questions if they get stuck. Other positives that students have said was that, as I mentioned earlier, multiple students said they had trouble focusing when there was some background noise, and now they've learned how to concentrate on their work, ignore the distractions, and they said they have found it very helpful in many other classes. And the most popular, and really one of the only reasons people have said that they do not like this class, is because they claim that they are procrastinators and that they're lazy, and at the end of the semester they feel very rushed, because the one thing, they can set their own pace, but they must finish all of the material before the final exam, because the final exam is going to cover everything. So if they don't finish the material, they're going to be, really far behind. So they have to finish all the material by the end of the semester, and if they're a week behind schedule towards the end, they might have to do 2 or 3 weeks worth of work in the last week of school leading up to final exams, and they find it very stressful. And all of them said that they would try to be more proactive if they were to ever take my class again. Now, the last 2 things I want to talk about are the additional lifelines that students in Algebra 2 Trig will receive each semester. And one of them is called a quiz replacement, and the other one is a test retake. So at the end of every semester, each student gets to choose one test that they would like to retake from the semester. Some choose not to because all of them are really good. Some choose not to because they feel they have a grade where it really isn't going to make that much of a difference in terms of a letter grade. But many students will choose to retake a test. The reason it's at the end of the semester is so they can spend time preparing for it, which is also preparing them for the final exam. Now, the one that's a little bit tricky is the quiz replacement, because that's a little bit different. So I have 2 examples of students here, student 1 and student 2, and these are just some pretend grades, but we're going to pretend that both of these students got a 60% on their first quiz, a 70% on their second quiz, and then we have the big packet that is known as a goal packet. It is going to be worth 10 points, and if a student gets a 10 out of 10 on their goal packet, they are eligible for what I call a quiz replacement grade. And then students will take a test. Now, let's pretend we're talking about factoring, and factoring is a fairly challenging topic for students to understand at the beginning, and let's pretend that they get a 60% on a quiz and a 70% on a quiz with factoring, but they take the time to get some extra help. They go to the resource room, they come in before school, they ask questions in class, and they learn the material. I believe that a student's grades should reflect what they know, not what they didn't know last week. So if a student completes their goal packet and gets a 10 out of 10 on it, let's pretend that both of these students get a 90% on their test. The student that did the goal packet will have 90s substituted into their quizzes, so their grade will go up, reflecting that they actually know how to factor now, rather than their grade wasn't so good last week because they didn't. So that is what you get as a reward for doing your goal packet. So not only is it worth 10 points, it is also an opportunity for students to replace lower quizzes. Now, if their test grade is lower than a quiz, it doesn't go down. This is only a benefit to raise their grade. Okay, so I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I just wanted to explain how my classroom works because it is a little bit different. But as I've mentioned before, many students in the past have found it to be very helpful. So after the first unit or two, this is the type of classroom environment we are going to be moving to. So thank you very much for your time. This is Longo and I'm out. See you, bye.